Wednesdays, everybody. I'm Elisha.
I'm Alex.
I'm Esther.
And I'm Gigi.
And we're here to remind you what day it is. Now, as always, we're going to start this week off with our classic segment that's pretty much a regular at this point. New this week. And for the rare chance that we actually have a new listener, New this week is a segment where each of us talks about something either new we did or we learned this past week. So would anybody like to start?
New this week.
It's funny. Every week we do this segment, and every week it seems like you guys are just like, I totally forgot this segment exists. I forgot that I should have something in mind. So I'll start it off this week. Mine's pretty simple. I got a couple like little ones. So today I actually saw the new Blade Runner movie.
Oh, it came out this Friday?
Yeah, it came out this past Thursday night.
No, I don't even want to know. Don't tell me.
Oh, all right. Well,
I almost don't even want to know if it was good or bad. Well, actually, I want to know that it was good. Is it good?
If you like the first one, I'll put it this way. If you like the first one, it's definitely worth seeing this one.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that, and I will say no more. But so besides that, so it's not technically new in the sense that I've never done it before, but it's new in the sense that it's been months since I have. So it's back to being new in my life. I've started going rock climbing again.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Because it's been months. I haven't been like sleeping enough or had enough time in my schedule to do it, but being fully single again, you have plenty of time.
You haven't been paying for it all this time, have you?
Maybe.
Oh boy.
I went once or twice. Well, like the reason I continued paying for it is actually because it was a way of ensuring that I would go back and do it again. I did at one point get my student discount, though, so I'm paying at least less than I was. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you were paying like 60 while I was paying 40. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Definitely a difference in price. So what's your goal plan with it? Are you just going to keep going alone? Are you going to try to find a buddy, or what's going on?
I like doing it alone. I like bringing people like every once in a while. Like I really like getting a chance to invite people, and I did in the past. I would always try to invite a friend from time to time, but in general I like the challenge. I throw some headphones on and I just go at it. So I went a couple times this past week. I plan on going probably tomorrow again, and at least a couple other times this week if I can fit it in. And besides that, it's just kind of getting back in the swing of things. I mean, my hands hurt and are already scratched up and everything. And I've definitely taken a couple steps back because I was doing much better before. I do also think that because they've changed how they label the routes, and I definitely think the routes have gotten harder because I was doing some V0s and like this they were a little more complicated.
Juji, are you planning on going back with him?
I don't know. I haven't been in like a couple months.
But that's because I haven't been in a couple months for the most part.
I went once with just
I bought
Reed.
shoes.
Yeah, you guys got shoes. Cool. You gotta go.
I'll keep you guys posted on when I go and see if you guys are available.
If I can get the space,
it'll probably be weekends, but
if I can get the space moving forward, I'd like to start building, even if it is just a mock-up or like a crappy one for now, building like a small rock wall so I can do a little bit of that while I'm up here.
Oh yeah, I think I'm almost certain you've discussed that on the podcast in the past, where you plan on making your own little rock wall, which is going to be interesting.
I mean, I have the rocks, and actually, I don't know if I mentioned this. I probably didn't mention this on the podcast, but some of the creek rocks that I've been finding are like perfect handholds. So I was like, oh cool, like if I could just drill through them. I need a better like mason drill though, because the one I have right now is not working.
I don't know that that's a safe bet. I don't know that I would do that. It might be a bad idea. That might be a very unsafe idea.
I don't know. I mean, some of the holds, if they fell off, I guess they would probably be just as heavy. I don't know. You have to think about it.
It's more about cracking. It has to do with rocks are hard, but they're brittle. and so they're going to fracture. It's a materials thing. A lot of people conflate things that are hard as things that are necessarily tough, and they're not the same thing.
So maybe it'd be like real rock climbing, where you're climbing and the rock breaks, and you lose your hold onto the rock, and you have to keep.
Speaking of hard, guys, I slammed my head on a glass shelf today.
Ooh, is that your new this week?
Yeah. Could be.
No, she's done it a lot in the past. It's like a weekly event.
Nobody asked me how I was after that.
Well,
is the table okay?
Are you still alive?
Yeah, but like
the glass is fine,
I had
right?
pretty hard, and then people just gave me a dirty look, and I'm like, well, you know.
What happened? Did you slip on a banana peel?
No, I was kneeling on the ground picking up a rug, and then I like stood up and stood. So, because the shelf was sticking out of the wall, I stood up so that way my head slammed the underside of the shelf.
That has to have hurt.
Really bad, actually.
I had
I'm good.
I had a similar dumb moment a couple weeks ago where I was like trying to polish the floor, the slate floor, and Claudia had one of those air plants like in a little glass thing.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like right above me, and I knew it was there, but like I don't know, I just wasn't paying attention, and I like bent down, and then Claudia said something, and I was like, oh wait, let me go do that, and I like lifted up and just went right into it, but like slowly, because I knew as I hit it like what was happening, and there's like rocks inside of it, and I just cleaned the floor, and I'm thinking like I'm like trying to keep it not. So then I had rocks like on my shoulder and on my back, and so I just like stayed in like an L position, and I was like, Claudia, help. And she like picked little like tiny pebbles off my back as I'm like trying to like not have them fall on the ground.
Oh my goodness, you're a mess. So I'm pretty sure I'm the only one so far that's said anything new this week. What about you guys? Anyone?
Why did you tell your dog story?
Oh, Bailey has a boyfriend.
Say what?
I feel like Alex has more to say about this, but
well, explain
I can say
down
that
the street. Okay, so
yeah, just explain what happened. Just say what happened.
So Bailey is really awful with other dogs. She just like does not like other animals. She likes people to an extent, but she really doesn't like other animals. So we've been having trouble trying to find like an animal that she actually does like, and we found a dog that can actually tolerate her, that she actually likes being around. And
well, explain like what you saw, and then I can kind of give backstory.
So I saw a little, what is it, Australian Shepherd maybe?
Yeah, like a shepherd dog, kind of like a collie.
Started like howling outside her window,
like
and,
whimpering
and so Alex is just like, oh, that's Bailey's boyfriend. So we took Bailey outside, and they just like started like sniffing at each other's butts and stuff, and having a grand old time running around.
Sounds like a really solid relationship.
Yeah.
And they're actually friends? Like, they don't, like, Bailey didn't bark at him?
Oh, she barked a couple times, but that's just
more like a playful kind of.
Wow, weird. I think Bailey's in love.
Do you know, does this dog have an owner? Like, do you know where it came from?
I don't. Okay, so I know where they come from. Like, there's two of them, actually. There's two dogs. One is, like, black. They're both, like, the same breed. They're both boys. So one is black, and the other one is, like, tricolored. And he's got multicolored eyes. And early on, they actually came over and greeted us and, like, said hello. And this was like before we were living here, and we were like, wow, what a couple of really cool dogs, you know. They were like super friendly together. And then we just like hadn't seen them for like months. I didn't know like who owns them. I still don't know exactly who owns them. I just know where they live.
I actually saw them a while ago. I think, who was I with? Was I with a mom maybe? And we like drove over here, and these dogs just come out and like greet us, and we're like, oh, hey. We didn't know who they were and whose dogs they were. But then they just kind of disappeared.
That was our like first introduction to them as well.
Yeah.
But so the relationship between the dogs and Bailey. So since we've had Bailey up here, it started one day out. I had Bailey outside. She was on the leash, and the dogs came, and I was like, "Oh, cool, the dogs are here." And I was like, "Uh-oh." I'm like wondering how they're gonna react. So both of them came over together, and the black one is super friendly with people. He'll just like go up to anybody, like not afraid. But the tricolored one, he's like, I don't know, like. But so what ended up happening is they both came up, and they just sort of like, they were so intrigued by Bailey because they had never seen a dog like her before. And of course she's like this like little spitfire, so she's like, kicking the dirt, and she's like, making her like growling and barking and stuff. And they just like kind of overwhelmed her, like, because there was both of them. So like normally like, there's like a standoff with two dogs, and it's always like Bailey doesn't want any dog to sniff her butt, so it's this like game. And so what ends up happening is they just overwhelmed her, and she didn't know what to do. So basically the joke is now, because like the tricolored dog, he comes over, and you'll call him like, hey, come here, like I want to like pet you, and he won't come over. But you bring Bailey out, and he'll come and like hang out with Bailey. So now it's gotten to the point where it's even past that. It's like I know he's only coming to see her. So when he comes,
adorable.
He'll go up to the door. Like there's the doors that go to the room where sometimes she hangs out. And then he'll just go, he'll just kind of like whimper. And we're like, oh, okay. So I'm like, Bailey, want to go outside? And then her ear twitched when she heard that. So then, so I'll put her on a leash, and she'll go out and hang out with her boyfriend.
That is
Wait, so
too
she's not
cute.
boyfriends with the black one, just the tricolor one?
Yeah, just the tricolored one with the two colored eyes. He's a cutie too.
But the black one is friendlier though, right?
The black
To
one's
people.
Like to people?
more interested in people. Yeah, and the tricolored one was just like, nah, I don't really care about people. I just want to see your dog.
Same.
But
I got some video of her, so I can show you, Esther, later on. Her with the other dog.
That's so cute.
I know
They're so adorable.
we were about to head out, and then that's when the dog came this time, and I felt bad because I was like, oh, I gotta put Bailey back in the house. I could only let her out for so long. Normally their visits are pretty quick, but he was just sticking around. I was like, okay. So we had like a new experience. I wouldn't say it's like brand new because we've done stuff like this before, but oh, actually no, I do have a new experience. I went this Saturday. Me and Claudia went mushroom hunting.
Oh, no way.
Or mushroom foraging, yeah. So
Awesome.
the story behind it is there is this guy who owns a company. It's like his own self-made company called Chaga Moon, and what they do is
Oh, those guys like at the farmer's market?
Yeah, the guys at the farmer's market.
Okay, sorry.
So he'll forage for mushrooms. I guess he doesn't do chaga foraging. I think he's got to like buy it, or he's got to like get it from like someone else's land, because like I think there's rules about getting chaga or something. It's weird because different mushrooms, different rules and things like that. But anyway, so what he does is he takes like chaga mushrooms, which grow on birch trees, and he brews them, turns them into teas and things like that.
Yeah, I remember
So-
definitely having the tea a few times.
Which I can
Farmer's
imagine is a lot of work,
Yeah.
but that's what he does for like a living. So
Seems
it's
like a
really
kind of a
cool, and
simple
he's a
life.
really interesting guy, super awesome guy. And so we were at the farmer's market one time, and actually like recently, like not this Sunday, but last Sunday, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm doing like a little class, and it's like going to be at the Merck, and the Merck farm in like forest area, and that's like literally like 5 minutes down the road. So we were like, oh cool, let's go check it out. So we paid for the class and everything, and because they do it under like this like Green Mountain Academy thing, and so we got to go mushroom hunting, and he'd tell us all about different types of mushrooms, and it wasn't even like we walked like 2 feet into the woods, and already we had found like 3 different species of mushroom. It's insane what you find when you're actually like paying attention and looking.
Wow.
And Yeah, there's all kinds of different types of mushrooms, and he's explaining different ones and stuff. I was actually really surprised because the one thing I probably learned the most about the whole experience was that like the majority of mushrooms that you see are like every mushroom has like some toxicity, but like the majority of mushrooms that you see are totally okay to touch, like the majority of them.
Wow.
And I would say that lightly because yes, there are certain ones I don't want people to go out and start touching every mushroom they see, but like the majority of them are like
gosh.
will not
Pirate
kill you.
Wednesdays recommends to touch any mushroom you see.
Some
heard it
make
here,
a trip,
folks.
some well, because I don't want anyone dying or anything, but
Yeah.
there are definitely deadly ones. I vote. The thing is, what I want to say is, like, it changed my perspective on it. I think, because I've always thought that, like, you see a mushroom, like, I don't touch that. Like, that could get me sick or something,
Yeah.
But
I don't
they had these really
typically
cool
think
ones
that.
that I'd probably seen before but never touched. And it's so weird. They have a really thin skin, and I can't remember what the technical word is, but there's like this I don't know. It's like a powder that the mushroom makes, like with its spores to like spread.
Yeah.
And they call them like puff balls because if you poke them, that all those little spores they come out.
Oh, huh.
So it's really something that you would expect to see like an Alien versus Predator movie or something like that. But really like they like the spores wouldn't hurt you or anything. So you could just go and poke them, and then the little puff comes out. It's really interesting. So we saw some of those and
fun.
stuff, but.
Very cool. All right, so let's see. I did rock climbing. Gigi found out Bailey had a boyfriend, and Alex learned to pick mushrooms. What was your new this week, Esther?
I really don't like have anything that I can think of that happened like this week or a couple days ago or whatever. But I mean, I can just talk about weird things that happen at work.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Besides me hitting my head. But like something funny happened today. And this kind of thing happens a lot actually. We get a lot of customers that like some of them are regulars and some of them are just like really friendly people. But they'll just come in and they'll like order their food. They're like, yeah, I want this and I want that, and then be like, oh, and you won't believe what just happened to me today, and we'll just like give you their whole life story pretty much. And sometimes people will come in and like you've never met them before, and they'll still do that to you. So today was like one of those instances. This lady comes up to me and she's like probably like late 30s, I guess, like looks kind of like a mom. I don't really know, like I don't know, just like not like my age. But she comes up to me, orders something, and, oh, by the way, this is like PG-13 for all the viewers. But she comes up to me and she's like, she orders her food, and then I'm like, oh, how are you doing today? Like, just expecting her to be like, oh, I'm good. And she's like, well, I'm not doing too well because I just ended things with a friends with benefits. And I was like... What? I was like, oh, like trying to still stay professional. I was like, oh, like that sounds awful, like, or like something like, I don't know what I said
do you
exactly.
say to
but I was
Yeah, how do you respond to that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, that's unfortunate, and then tried to turn away, but she just would not stop like talking to me, and I had to stand there for probably about like 5 minutes at
Do
the
you want
register
coffee or
so
something?
she could tell me.
Or...
Well, like she ordered a drink, and I turned to like make her drink, and she just kept talking and talking and talking, and she's just like so weird and awkward, but at the same time she's telling me like all these facts about this guy, and like he like she ended things with him, and I guess he works somewhere, like he's like a dishwasher, but he works with a bunch of like young teenagers, and that he has no life. But then I don't know, she like feels bad for him at the same time. Literally, she told me all of this stuff within like 5 minutes of her just
Wow.
standing there.
Wow.
Her whole life story. But like that kind of stuff happens a lot at Cheese and Java. So just kind of be like sitting there, and then like one person will go up to you and be like, I need to tell you this one thing. And then they'll be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like there's like 100 people behind me, but I just gotta tell you my life story first. I don't know. It's kind of funny.
No,
Sometimes I like it.
That is funny. And so for like most of my life, I've been like a fairly private person. Like I keep my thoughts to myself. But I think I'm turning into one of those people. Like,
Oh, no.
as soon as somebody, I know, right? And like now that you talk about it, I'm like, that's. I think I'm becoming that. Because like anytime anyone's like, hey, so how's your day, I just go into this myriad of just like random stuff that they did not ask about, and then I'm still at least conscious enough, like at least after the fact, I'm like, why did I just do that? But I
You
think
just like
I might
black out mid-conversation.
maybe but I think I eventually will just turn into just one of those people that don't even realize they're doing it. Hey, so do you want a coffee? Oh man, so you're asking about my stamp collection. Well, my stamp collection is doing great, actually. I'm really excited about it right now. I'm looking for a George
You sound
Washington
like
stamp.
a customer.
Yeah, see? I'm telling you. Maybe, do you know what? Maybe it's just part of getting old. Like maybe once you hit 25, it just starts kicking in. And it only gets worse from there. Because it's definitely older people that tend to do it. Not that 25 is old, but I think that's when it kicks in. And then eventually, once I hit 60, I'll just kind of be talking to myself. And then if people come by, I continue on the conversation with them.
It's probably not going to happen to me.
Gushy.
Well, we'll have to find out.
Keep it.
This January, Alex will be 25. So we'll have to see if he starts
What
doing the
the
same
heck?
thing. I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but you're 27 soon. So.
I know.
You're old. You're gonna die soon.
Oh my god.
Wow.
In 3 years. Well, that's not true, but in 3 years, Alicia's going to be 30,
Oh,
which is a milestone, right?
yeah, that's
You know what?
something.
Well, this kind of has to do with what we just said. There's this really cute story, and me and Claudia joke around about it all the time. But like one Christmas, her little cousin was like, we were hanging out with the family and stuff like that, and her little cousin was sitting in my lap, and I was just hanging out, and he started like, you know, like kids kind of play and they get rough. He started like trying to like I'm gonna beat you up, and I'm just like, oh, you better not do that. You know, like trying to be like friendly and fun about
kids
it.
do that all the time.
And he said this thing, and this is like where the joke comes from. But it's like he's like I'm gonna punch you, you're gonna die. And I was like, oh, I don't know. You gotta learn how to punch pretty well. You know,
That sounds like me when I was little.
Death punch.
I think even I
But-
did that, honestly.
the funny
But
thing
establish
is,
your dominance. Over the
I
other
know,
people.
like this kid learns early. Jeez, so aggressive. I'm like, gee, you have some issues or something? No, I joke around because I know like someday down the road when he's probably like my age now, I'm gonna be like, you know what you told me when you were like, you know, 4 years old.
I'm
he's
gonna
be
punch
like,
you and
"What?"
you're gonna die.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna end up like mocking him when he's like 20 years old.
That's good.
Good.
So, for this week, we're going to do a segment we've done only once before, called I Think We Lost the Plot. And the way this segment works is typically we have one or two siblings explain the plot of a film that they likely haven't seen before, and all they're given is the title of that film. And I typically, with this one, like to pick on my little sisters, because there's a lot of interesting 80s and 90s movies that they definitely haven't seen, and I like to see what they guess at. But this one, I believe, is from the early 2000s, and it's called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So, Esther and Juji together, I want to see if you guys can let our listeners know what the plot of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is.
Oh no. Do these gentlemen wear suits?
No, not really.
Okay,
It
that
sounds
changes
like-
my
like
answer
a-
then.
It sounds like a sappy psychological thriller or something.
Okay, well, let's run with that.
Sure. Wait, how can a psychological thriller be sappy?
Like, I don't know, just like emotional.
All right.
The
Okay.
League of Extraordinary Crying Abilities. I don't know.
In suits, maybe.
Yeah. I think we're making a new movie
I guess
here.
they're not in suits though. So
No, not really.
what
No,
are
this
they
isn't Men in Black.
All right, that was my best guess.
That's your
I'm
best-
out.
Okay, well,
Well, I
what do
heard
you?
gentlemen, and I thought suits because gentlemen wear suits. But
Okay, well, give me like a quick synopsis, like a couple words and a couple sentence or two synopsis of what you think happens in this film.
Who, me?
there aren't
Uh,
enough clues. The name does not.
Sean
So-
Connery's in this movie.
That's not a clue.
that's a big
I can't
clue.
even think of.
What does Sean Connery
Yeah.
normally
What
do?
does he even look like? I don't remember.
You don't remember Sean Connery, the old guy?
Like I probably
Talks like
see him
this.
all the time
He's
in
got that-
movies. I just don't pay attention to him at all.
I would say Sean Connery is probably the only one in the movie that's gentlemanly. Really. If you
Or-
argue it.
Are they all like redneck or something?
Sean
Oh,
Connery
God.
finds like a ragtag bunch of rednecks and teaches them how to be gentlemen.
The
This
League of
summer.
Extraordinary-
Yeah.
Oh, see, the funny
Probably
thing
what
is,
happens.
like, that would probably be a better movie.
The funny thing is, this is kind of a forgettable movie. Like, nobody really was like, oh, yeah, I want to watch that again.
No, and it totally was, and it's really upsetting because the concept is really interesting, and I'll explain that one in a moment. But you wanted it to be a good film. Like, it's a really, really interesting concept, and then it's just boring. But granted, every time it's on TV, I still watch it for some reason. I don't know why.
It is one of those big, like, when it got on TV, it's like one of those, like, Fox, like,
Regular.
you just sit, you gotta finish it, you know?
Yeah. It could be anywhere in the film, and I still
So
end up
is this
finishing.
like some sort of cult or something? Like the
You're-
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Wait, what's it called again? What's it called?
It's called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Ah.
I thought you were Googling it.
Yeah,
Like, you
no, it's
cheater.
like, that's cheating. Don't cheat. Okay.
Don't worry,
So-
It just sounds
Juji can't Google
too
here.
fancy for
that's
anyone
true.
not wearing suits.
Isn't there one
That's why I
woman?
can't think of anything else it could be. That's just.
There is one woman, actually.
I am
what
giving
do they
it
wear?
away, but
Do
I
they
figure
wear
they're not gonna
anything
know.
specific? Do they wear
Okay.
anything?
All right. Well, actually, that's
Maybe they're in
also not
swimsuits.
far off. So I'll explain, and then things will sort of make more sense. So I'm going to read the IMDb.
Or you can just give me a
synopsis
clue first. You know.
You want a clue first?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. What would a clue be? It combines a lot of literary characters.
Literary characters.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, hold on. What's it called again?
The League of
League.
Extraordinary
Sean
Gentlemen.
Connery and the what?
It's not. It's not called Sean Connery in the. Like he's in the film. It's not. He's Sean Connery starring as Sean.
You might as well
Connery.
just change the name because any movie he's in, he's obviously the most important character.
Of course.
Is this just like his, just telling like, oh god, I don't even know. Never mind.
All right. So I will put you guys out of your misery, and I'll read the IMDb page summary, and then I'll elaborate because it's actually pretty brief. In an alternate Victorian age world, a group of famous contemporary fantasy, science fiction, and adventure characters team up on a secret mission. So basically, it's these group of literary characters. So you have, I forget what character Sean Connery plays. He plays a guy that looks a little like a cowboy almost, but like I don't actually know his character's name. But you have Nemo from 2000 Leagues Under the Sea. You have Dorian Gray from the book The Portrait of Dorian Gray, which is actually a really good book. I definitely recommend it. You have The Invisible Man. You have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which same
Oh
guy.
god.
He ends up just being like a Hulk character. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. You're right, very hulky. And then I think the woman that Alex mentioned before plays a vampire.
Yeah, because wait, isn't like the end of the movie, there's some sort of scene about someone getting, like, it's like a mirror or a picture or something, and then they turn to dust? I don't know.
Okay,
I honestly don't really remember.
Yeah, you are, and I don't want... Alright, well, do you know what? If you haven't already read The Portrait of Dorian Gray, you should. You definitely should.
George, there may or may not be a crash of the mic, but I fixed it.
So none of them wear suits?
Well,
I thought we already established this. There's no suits.
I just feel like maybe the Invisible Man, but it's like invisible suits. Like you can't even.
No, when he's invisible, he's very naked. But to be fair, when he's not, he's usually in like some sort of trench coat type thing and like wrapped up in bandages. And as I said, Sean Connery's character, whose name I'm not sure who he is. He is he's kind of like cowboyish. Oh, I think one of the characters is Tom Sawyer for some reason, but he has like a gun. Yeah, there's like some white dude. It's like super forgettable. What does he play? Yeah, Tom Sawyer. Just found it. An actor named Shane West plays Tom Sawyer, but he has like a gun. And he's like he's good at shooting things. Like this movie's ridiculous.
Wasn't he sort of like, he was the one who was like involved with the vampire girl or something, or the enemy or something? He was like basically like the one who got in trouble and everyone had to like help, right?
No, maybe Dorian Gray was the one that was kind of more shady, which actually kind of fits the character of Dorian Gray from the book itself. Because that guy was.
It's like they should have read their book before they hired them.
I don't. They're not like. It's not like a Page Master. It's not like the characters come to life from the books. They're separate. I'm more clarifying for our sisters who definitely could be just as confused.
I have no idea what's going on.
But yeah, no, it's more taking a bunch of literary characters and putting them in the same universe.
At least none of the characters were from Catcher in the Rye.
Oh God.
That would have been awful.
Bailey's licking me right now.
That would have been terrible.
Oh God, your breath stinks so bad.
Hey Bailey.
What, you been like sniffing your crotch all day? Get out of here. Get out of here. Stop licking me.
The dog.
That's your dog that you're talking about.
I don't know if you can hear her licks.
No.
Oh, well, the mic will definitely.
The mic will pick it up.
Yeah, no, I just heard some licks.
Ew.
Yep, a little bit of licks.
Sometimes I put peanut butter on her nose and watch her lick it off like Scooby-Doo. I'm calling this new segment Song of the Week.
All right.
Oh, we can change it if we don't like it, make it more piratey. So, actually, before you guys came last podcast, you guys had your little experience with your pirate friends.
Yeah.
Pub hopping. Before you guys told that story, I was like, oh man, we just need more like piratey content, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I figured
sea shanties.
Yeah, like I have this is my default for that. So each week we're going to suggest a song. It doesn't have to be one that we all have heard, but it has to be one that like whoever is suggesting has heard, and suggest one pirate-related song that you think our listeners should check out. So my song for the week that I think our listeners should check out, which I think is a very, very good pirate-related song, is called Rum is the Reason Pirates Never Ruled the World by Toby Keith. And I know what you're saying. Toby Keith is a very generic artist. This is country music, right?
Yeah, what are you doing, Alex?
You need to check this song out.
As it is, we only have 2 listeners. You want to make it 1?
I'm not kidding. It's a PG song. It's not like, it's not like very suggestive or anything. So it's open to listening for depending on, where you're at. But Yeah, it's a good song,
It's not
and
pirate metal.
I implore you to check it out.
You
You will not be disappointed.
hiring-
Trust me.
you're
You'll hear it
hiring our
once. You'll be
audience.
like, eh. You hear it twice. You're like, you're never gonna forget it. That's what I think.
For our last segment this week, we're going to do a listener question, which is this one I believe is actually a question that was one that we came up with really early on before we even started the podcast. But we were especially waiting for the month of October for these types of questions. So this week, the question is, what was your worst costume?
Juju's
So what-
shaking her head.
Yeah. So what is the worst costume you've ever done? And I'm not limiting it to just Halloween, because I know pretty much all of us at some point or another has worn a costume.
I have
for
my worst
other
costume
reasons.
story.
Okay.
My worst costume. I feel it was probably just lazy. Maybe it's not the worst, but at least that's the story. So, it was like during one of those like spirit weeks, and I don't know, I felt like I wanted to dress up, but I didn't know how to. And it would have been silly if the guy who wears a pirate costume every Wednesday couldn't actually dress up for Spirit Week. And I don't remember what the topic was, but I think we had holidays as our topic or
Yeah.
something, which is very super open book.
Right.
And so what I decided to do as just
I
dumb
remember this.
generic, I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear a suit. And then people were like, oh, you aren't you like holidays? What holiday are you? And I'm like, I'm Father's Day. And it was like really shitty because it was like, I'm wearing a suit. I'm a dad, I guess.
remember
Dads
that.
wear suits,
Yeah, dads sometimes wear suits.
but not
If they
extraordinary
make more
gentlemen.
money, I don't know. Yeah, it's just,
If their job
But-
requires it.
but yes, I wasn't an extraordinary gentleman because they don't wear suits.
No, they do not. As we've established, it's now
Yeah.
canon.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty terrible costume.
It was
What about-
bad.
What about you
I
guys?
remember even cringing telling people. They were like, oh, really? Okay. Like it wasn't like funny or exciting or cool.
Every
Like I
time
had
they'd
friends.
have a theme on Wednesdays, I would always combine it with my pirate costume.
That's very creative.
I had a group of friends.
I did that too, yeah.
One time it was Pirate Spider-Man.
I have a vague recollection of this.
Oh God, yeah, that's
We're
your
talking
worst
about
one.
worst
That's not my
costumes,
worst.
not
That was
best
actually
right
kind
now.
of funny. But what were you gonna say?
Well, I know. I kind of feel like we need to talk about Pirate Spider-Man now. That sounds very awful.
But
Oh,
but the
man.
thing is that Juju's worse because
That's
I
not
know
my
Juju's
worst
had,
costume,
Yeah, Juju's
because
had some
it-
doozies.
Cause that wasn't actually like that bad. It was just sort of a weird
She wore a
combination.
spider costume under her pirate costume, so
It,
when
like-
she like kind of ripped
Like
open
I
her
would say
shirt,
my
you
worst
could see the
costume is
pirate
probably
thing.
Selena Gomez.
Spider-Man.
But
All right,
because that
context,
just didn't even look
context.
like Selena Gomez. But at least the pirate Spider-Man was that was funny. So it was Spirit Week, and theme day ended up being on a Wednesday, and the theme that we had was superheroes, and so I had a Spider-Man costume, but since it's Wednesday and I had to wear a pirate costume, I was like, oh man, what do? I guess I have to combine them. So I ended up like finding a way to use different pirate costume elements with my Spider-Man costume, and it was something. And I think I had a math meet that day, so I ended up going to the math team meet wearing that, and like Portsmouth High.
Sweet.
That was it was weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Oh, and we took pictures in vocal ensemble of everyone in their costumes.
Mhm.
So there's pictures of it.
Oh
Oh,
God.
you get it. I'm gonna have to see
Probably
these
on
pictures.
Facebook.
Definitely hunt them down. We'll post them on the Pirate Wednesdays Facebook page.
I don't know if I want to do that.
But as you were saying, this isn't even your worst costume. Your worst costume was when you were Selena Gomez.
Well, that's just because it didn't look like Selena Gomez. Because I mean, how could I ever look like Selena Gomez? And then it was bad because like you go trick or treating, and then they're like, "Oh, who are you?"
Yeah,
like,
that's
"I'm
isn't that the
Selena
worst?
Gomez," and they're like, "I don't know who that is." It's just really, it's just awful.
That is the absolute worst thing you can say when somebody's in costume is like, "Who are you?" Because it's just like I put effort into this. I was gonna say so much effort, but I don't know how much effort you actually put into the Selena Gomez costume. I'm actually not sure if you put any. You might have just left the house with, like, a name tag on saying like Selena Gomez and just kind of.
Why did I
went with
even
it.
want to be Selena Gomez for Halloween? I mean, she's cool and all, but like, why?
I don't know.
It was just an awful idea to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah, it was.
Even if I had pulled it off, it would just be an awful idea.
What about you, Esther? What was yours?
Oh, I feel like I've had even worse than this example, but the first thing that came to my mind was the year, because the reason why this was such an awful costume is because I thought I was brilliant at the time, and I was a mustard bottle for
I
Halloween.
had a feeling you were gonna say that one. Oh my God.
And I feel like I've had worse costumes than this.
Hey,
but
don't knock mustard, man. Mustard's good.
Well, I loved mustard, and honestly, I got my friend to be a ketchup bottle and her dog to be the hot dog, so it wasn't like the worst thing. But
No, so far
we
sounds
made,
pretty coordinated.
we just kind of like I wore yellow leggings, yellow shirt, and a sign that said like mustard on it or whatever. But the funniest part is that when we took the dog outside, that Halloween ended up being super, super windy. And I made the costume by hand, and I was so like proud of it. But as soon as we got outside, the wind just whipped that costume off this dog, like this tiny little dog. Oh, it was awful.
So you were just mustard and ketchup walking with a regular dog.
Yeah.
Boring.
Oh man.
So as Alex would know this in particular, the girls didn't have to really deal with this all that much, for the most part. But
Wait, are we talking about the monkey?
whoa, I don't even know.
What?
We'll come back to that because I don't know where that.
No, the
one's
flying
going.
monkey.
No, that's an awesome costume. Don't even. I'll post pictures. No, that
But you
Don't
looked
even
really
make fun
you
of
looked
his flying
weird
monkey
in it, though.
costume.
No,
He
it
looked
looked
really
totally weird, but like I look like a flying monkey. I'll post that to the Pirate Wednesdays Facebook page. Maybe on
It was,
Twitter
no, but
as well.
honestly, it was a little weird because you had your face painted like in black paint. It almost looked like you were like in blackface.
Oh no.
Oh, maybe I should.
Well, now that you bring that
no,
up.
but no, it's blue. It wasn't
But
black.
it was a very
blue.
dark shade of blue.
No, it is a dark shade of blue. But like, I'm a flying monkey. All right. Well, anyhow.
Yeah, but when the costume came off and your face was still black, I saw.
Oh my god.
I saw.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
I hate you,
Elisha,
Alex.
what'd you do?
No, it was a good costume. It's not a racist costume. I was from The Wizard of Oz. You just ruined one of my favorite costumes. Thank you very much. Anyhow,
You know,
moving
no
on.
offense, Elisha, but I was thinking the same thing.
I have so many costumes that have turned out worse than that. But you even ruined my original story. So, for Alex and I, when we were younger, both of our parents were really weird about Halloween. Like, the only time we could dress up was if we were going to some sort of church thing, and we dressed up as some character from the Bible. And then once our parents got divorced, they just didn't care. Like, for some reason, together they cared about Halloween, and then apart, neither of them felt it was that big of a deal. So as soon as I got a chance to actually do stuff for Halloween. I got super excited about it. And so I've done a lot of different like fun costumes over the years. I was Quail Man one year, for those of you who remember the show Doug. I don't know, like whenever I'm in a relationship, I have tons of fun with costumes. And we'll have another segment where we talk about our favorite costumes. But for my worst costumes, it comes down to one of two. The second worst would have been when my girlfriend at the time dressed as Superman and I dressed as Wonder Woman.
That was cringeworthy.
Yeah, no, there's photos of that somewhere that I don't want dug up. I have sock boobs and I'm in a corset, and parents physically pushed their children away from me. They were terrified. But
I think someone gave me like a raw, like a photo paper copy.
Oh, probably.
Oh my God! It was Ryan Wilson.
Yeah, Ryan Wilson.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
He did, and I might have it in a box somewhere.
Brian Wilson?
No.
I'm gonna have to pull that one out.
Oh God. If you do, in fairness, I'll post it, but it really should just be burnt. But so sadly that's not my worst one. So, and not to go back. I guess we're having a theme here on my costumes accidentally. So I love, as I said, I love dressing up. I come up with a lot of interesting, fun Halloween ideas for costumes. And I always had this one costume idea that I considered my backup. I was like, this is a classic costume idea, and any year that I don't have time to make a costume, I'm just going to do this. So what I planned on doing was the classic ghost. Like, get a sheet, cut some eye holes, and you're good.
Coming.
And so this was my backup forever. And then one year, school was particularly crazy. I was going to school in Boston, so I came back home for Halloween, and I didn't have any time to make a costume at all. And so I was like, oh, all right, well, perfect time for a backup costume. So I bought myself a sheet. I cut the eye holes, I put it over my head, I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I cannot leave the house looking like this. I look like a KKK member. This totally has backfired on me. This is completely backfired on me. I cannot do this. So
again,
I had
with
to
the
give
racism, man.
I know, that's
you
what
need
I'm
to
saying.
stop with your costumes.
Hey, no, the flying monkey. I stand by being an awesome costume.
You even had the
Screw
minstrel hat that went along with it. That's pretty bad.
Screw you. But so I had to give that up.
God.
And so what my costume ended up turning into, I think we just went into the prop department of our basement and just grabbed random stuff. So I think I ended up with like a Phantom of the Opera mask, a top hat, like a cape, and I don't remember what else. It just was this weird modge podge of random junk.
At least we have a ton of costume stuff hanging around just in case.
It's been actually really useful
things.
for the King Richard's Fair. Every week that I've worked it, I've had a different outfit. Today I was actually going to be a bard, but it was rainy, so they didn't end up having me come in because I would have sucked. But yeah, so because we have a prop violin, the cheap, crappy one that Alex had.
Yeah, you could have done that. That would have been cool.
Well, I had the costume all set up and everything, so I'll be doing that next Sunday. I'll be a bard at the King Richard's Fair, which will be fun. I can't actually play anything, so I'm just gonna like make up stuff if anybody asks. But
it'll be like that episode of Bland Man where you're trying to play the violin.
Oh no.
The one that was painfully like slow that everyone hated. But like it really wasn't even that long. It was like literally like a 2-minute video, and everyone was
I
like,
think I'm the only one that liked that one.
Well, I would have liked it if we put it outside of the collab video. But I think everything we've just said in the last 2 minutes makes no sense to anybody. so
that's okay. It'll be Easter eggs for later.
Yeah,
we'll post the video. We'll do this. We'll do that. You know.
So, I would like to say thank you to our 2 listeners, our mom and Uncle Richie, for listening in, as always. Esther, want to tell the folks at home where they can find us and how they can send in listener questions and suggestions.
All right, so you can find us on Twitter at Pirate Wednesday without the S, Instagram Pirate Wednesdays, Facebook Pirate Wednesdays. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. And don't forget to rate and subscribe, and leave questions and listener comments. And you can also contact us, piratewednesdays@gmail.com.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. And so this week, I'm actually going to be promoting something for a loyal fan of the show and guest, and hopefully eventually frequent guest, Reed Reddick. And so Reed is going to be in the Rhode Island Devised Theater Festival, which is put on by First Day Productions. And basically it's 8 groups of theater makers start rehearsal without a script. And so they have 2 weeks to kind of come up with some sort of like play. And so they're running the show from the 18th through the 29th, and it's $20, and the show starts at 7:30 p.m. It's at Mixed Magic Theater, 560 Mineral Springs Ave, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and I totally recommend going. I know a number of us from the show will definitely get an opportunity to sometime for sure. And so yeah, go out, support your local theater companies, and support one of the few people who actually listens to this show. And again, that's the Rhode Island Devised Theater Festival, and that's running from the 18th to the 29th of October, and it starts at 7:30 p.m. and that's in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, at the Mixed Magic Theater. Now, without any more to say, Juju, you want to sign us off?
Don't forget to shave your belly with a rusty razor.